In this video, you see a lot of, again, Iran using CGI, so using technology to make it look like the U.S. Capitol is exploding.
The words that accompany the video are also something else. The leader wants a vigilant and strong nation. With Ali's army, we will destroy the palace of oppression. And that palace of oppression was the United States Capitol.
In this video, it's to commemorate the death of Soleimani, the leader of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, taken out by the Trump administration. And then in that video, it shows the U.S. Capitol completely exploding.
There's a report that there's about to be this breakthrough between Iran and the United States in Vienna on the nuclear deal, like any day now. And at the same time, the Iranian regime, as Jordan just went through, is putting up video of the United States Capitol exploding.
The question for the Biden administration is what constitutes sufficient provocation so that the United States is prepared to withdraw from any discussions with the Iranians. Apparently, the answer is nothing will stop them from caving to Iran.
Our diplomats they're shuttling back and forth to our Gulf state allies to try and reassure them. Last week, they sent senior delegations from Washington to Israel to try and reassure them. Every signal, every indication is, in spite of all of this evidence, they are actually going through with this, Jay. They're going to lift the sanctions of the world's leading sponsor of terror, who is calling for the destruction of our nation.
Why are we not thinking about how can we add extra sanctions on Iran today after what that propaganda video? They are an enemy of the United States. They're an enemy of freedom. They're an enemy of democracy. They're an enemy of Israel. They're an enemy of our Sunni allies in the region. They are housing terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda. We talked about that earlier this week. This should not be a nation that is even close to, as we talked about, getting into direct negotiations with the United States and having any sanctions relief whatsoever.
If I was negotiating with you and you showed a video of the United States Capitol being blown up and the rhetoric that accompanied that, I would get up and walk away from the table and say, you're not serious, you're terrorists. Just like Joe Lieberman said, this is a lying country, a country that you cannot understand among the rational nations of the world. Why we continue to negotiate with them in Vienna or anyone else boggles my mind, on why we continue to literally suck up to the Iranians makes no sense whatsoever.
There is a reason that they shout death to America, because they actually mean it, and the Biden administration is acting as if, well, they don't really mean that. In fact, they do. And while we should be increasing sanctions and sticking by our guns and be a tough negotiator with them, they do want to destroy our country. We should be doing that instead of considering, lifting sanctions on them.
Do we know if Secretary of State Blinken or Biden or Harris have seen this propaganda video? Now, it just came out. I don't know if they have.
I can't imagine they haven't.
And I have a feeling it won't impact them the way it impacts us, because they will say this. They're just talking to their domestic audience. They got to keep their people under control. They've got to show the rhetoric like that, especially if they're about to get in a deal with the U.S., so they have to act tough. But we know that most of their domestic audience would like these guys gone.
The Islamic Republic of Iran is not what the vast majority of the Iranian people support. It's an oppressive regime. It's a terrorist regime. So this idea that they're saying we'll negotiate with you, but you understand why we're showing the Capitol blowing up, but we got to keep who in line? The hardliners? Well, the hardliners are in line because they can do whatever the Ayatollah says. So the normal rules of engagement, or the rules of propaganda, so to speak, or in multilateral diplomacy, really do not apply with the Iranians, because they don't play by any of those rules.
The Biden administration, in my view, is prepared to subvert the interest of the American people, but they are equally prepared to subvert the interest of the Iranian people. In other words, what are the members of the Biden administration doing? They are elevating the Ayatollahs. They are elevating those individuals who are interested in aggression. And guess what? They are interested, in my view, in rewarding Iranian aggression. They are interested in rewarding the Iranians when they build ballistic missiles that are capable of hitting Israel or potentially the United States. Why? Because the Biden administration is committed to a globalist agenda.
This is a administration that is just moving full speed ahead into this deal with Iran. They have got blinders on, and Iran loves that. So they're allowed to use this provocative imagery, showing the U.S. Capitol exploding, and put that out to their people, put that out to the world, not hiding how they feel about the United States. And yet we've got our diplomats rushing into a deal to make with their diplomats who have now are on the record saying they're powerless.